Morning, Andy.
Morning, Anna. You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, and thanks for joining me. Really appreciate you taking time out to have this call and share your knowledge and experience with us in terms of business ratings for self-storage. So just before we kick off, do you want to do a little introduction about yourself and what your business does?
Yeah, sure. I'm officially Andrew Davies, but most people know me as Andy Davies, and I'm a chartered surveyor. Have been in the business rates field for about 30 years. Worked for the valuation office for many years, and been in the private sector for about 6 or 7 years. So I'm either poacher or gamekeeper, depending on who you talk to. So I work for Fisher German, and we're a multidisciplinary surveying practice. Some of your operators may know us from the agricultural side of things, but we deal with agency in terms of lettings and purchasing and selling properties, site finding, and in my particular case, I deal with business rates consultancy. We're supplier members of the Self-Storage Association, and one of my colleagues will be speaking at the forthcoming conference in April time. And we deal with several large operators, but we're always looking for more. And we found at the moment there's such an explosion, if you like, in the self-storage container side of things. That's where we've been putting a lot of my efforts at the moment.
Great. All right. Well, interesting. Thank you. And just for anybody who doesn't know, my name is Anna Roberts, and I'm the founder and CEO of explorage.com, which is the marketplace for self-storage in the UK. And we're really focused on serving both the self-storage industry and its customers. So business rates, it's a bit of a dry subject, but an important one, certainly if it's going to affect you financially with your business. So in terms of self-storage, where and when do the rates apply?
Effectively, the business rates apply to any non-domestic rating assessment. So I'm finding at the moment, certainly with container storage, not all assessments are in the rating list at the moment. I think there's a catch-up exercise going on, but effectively where you've got anything to do with business in terms of whether it be traditional internal storage or a yard which has 10, 20, 200 steel containers on it, that will be liable for business rates. And the business rates assessment is the rental value of your property. Even if you own it, they will attribute a rental value to it, and the rates payable is approximately half of that. So it's a huge outgoing for most businesses.
Yeah, gosh, indeed. So and you mentioned when we chatted briefly before that there's some changes that have taken place recently in the industry. What does that mean for self-storage operators, and what are the changes?
Well, in particular for steel container storage, self-storage, there was an upper chamber Lands Tribunal decision which drastically changed the value attributable to the containers themselves. They were assessed typically, and are still assessed typically, between £10 per square metre and £30 per square metre, depending on where you are in the country. And effectively, the Lands Tribunal decision drastically cut that down to approximately £5 per square metre, give or take. So you can imagine if you've got 200 or even 30 containers, it's a big change.
Yeah.
The rider to that is that the valuation office don't always have the correct number of containers on site, and also there's the land element to consider. But this is what we would go through with any and are going through with clients to say, well, what have you got? And also very clear with them that sometimes the most professional advice is to not do anything, because either the assessment is correct or to take any appeal action would prejudice their position. So it doesn't do our reputation any good if we have assessments going up for clients. So that's where we come in, and we've already made significant savings across the country for clients, and we're always looking to try and help more.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge difference, isn't it? So from £30 potentially down to £5 square metre, and that's not just on the containers themselves, that's on the land that they sit on as well, is it?
The land has to be added in as a separate element, and it can be that I don't want to bore you or your watchers, but it can be that the land is slightly under assessed. But obviously, if the land goes in at £5 a square metre, and you're coming down from £30 a square metre, there's a net gain there, let's say, or even if you're coming down from 20 or 15. So there's a tipping point, but we would always do a proper and thorough survey, speak to the client before we take any action, obviously.
Yeah. So it sounds like if you're confident that the valuation office are aware of the correct size of your site, i.e. it hasn't increased substantially since you last submitted, and there is that potential saving there, then it seems like a bit of a no-brainer that you would at least look into it or speak to someone like yourselves to see what those savings are, because that's huge. Okay.
Sorry, so I was just going to add, there's also been brought in under a new Act of Parliament, under the new Rating Act. There's going to be a duty to inform the valuation office on every occupier. It's not been, they have the power to do it now, but they haven't quite got it in place yet to enforce it. But it will be effectively almost like self-assessment for personal taxation, where you would declare what accommodation you have potentially on an annual basis to the valuation office. So even if we come and do a survey and we find it's not in your favour at the moment to make an appeal to the valuation office, you're in a very good position to declare that once it does come in. So yeah, that's the new duty to inform.
Okay, so how frequently would it be assessed at the moment then?
The revaluation every 3 years.
Okay.
So the current rating list came into force on the 1st of April 23, and the valuation office have just started to work on the next rating list, which comes into force on the 1st of April 26.
I'm with you. And in that situation, then it is the onus on the valuation office to assess you rather than you declaring. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, so there's more changes afoot then in that. We're going to be quite dramatic. So are there any other differences between the more traditional indoor self-storage warehouse type facilities compared to the container-based sites?
Yeah, the traditional indoor storage, generally speaking, will be in a warehouse, but not exclusively. We're finding now there's far more redundant office space being converted to self-storage. Tends to be sort of larger multi-storey office complexes primarily, but the prime concern is whether or not they have a lift, obviously, because that's key to most self-storage operators and customers. But yeah, they tend to be assessed on general warehouse value, and then there's mezzanines generally put in, which again the valuation office will assess if they are aware of them. And we're finding at the moment we've got clients who are continually looking for more sites, so it does seem to be a continued growth market at the moment.
No, that's definitely something that we're finding, as you may have heard in some of our other interviews. Everybody seems to be wanting to expand. And I mean, on explorers.com, we have a number of other types of storage operators as well. So we have your removals companies who have the wooden crates in a warehouse, so for longer term storage. We also have some storage operators that offer purely mobile services, so they'll just go to the customer, collect their things, and re-deliver them when they want them back. Are there any implications for those types of storage operators?
They would be assessed in exactly the same way, wherever it's actually stored, if you like, the permanent home for the warehouse or the yard will be assessed in exactly the same way if it were any other type of storage.
Okay.
Or self-storage.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. So, any challenges or opportunities in particular?
I think for me and my colleagues and any other rating practitioners generally is getting a conversation going with an operator, because to be perfectly honest, there are and still and always have been some less scrupulous operators in the industry. So it's quite, even if you've got because when we're contacting somebody, generally we've got a good news story for them because we've already done some research before we contact them. But it's not uncommon to find it difficult to get to the decision maker to get a conversation going because they potentially had a bad experience before. But Fisher German have been around for a long time. We were previously Matthews and Goodman before that, so industry operators will recognise that name, I'm sure. So that the challenge for us is getting that first contact going, but also then the process of dealing through the challenge appeal system with the valuation office, which is it can be laborious, but it's getting used to it being part of the job.
I was going to say, yeah, I guess that's goes with the territory of your job. But so really, the takeaway there, not that we're sort of being biased, but is if you do get contact from Fisher German about your ratings as a storage operator, it's worth just taking a little bit of time to have a look at what they've noticed, because you are doing almost like a mini assessment beforehand before reaching out. Okay, that's a good approach.
And the way that our fee basis is that it's contingent on us making demonstrable financial savings for clients. So the initial survey work, investigation work, etc., is all at our risk, not the client's risk.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So going back to container storage operators, then, if you had a storage operator with, say, no more than 100 containers on a site, what advice would you be giving to them right now?
I would say make sure that you're across what your domestic, non-domestic rating assessment is about. Find out how it's made up. You will find generally that it's available to view on the Valuation Office Agency website on the Government Gateway. Have a look at that and just establish what they've got down for you, because either in terms of the number of sites or the size of the site or the containers on site, because the records aren't always accurate, but you'll find that even if they're not accurate and we have to declare 10 or 20 more containers because of the reduction in the values that they've given the upper chamber decision, that it's more than worth your while putting an appeal in, and it can be backdated. Savings can be backdated to well, at the moment, 1st of April 2023. So you can make backdated savings as well as reduce your outgoings. And certainly, using Explorage, you've got the expertise to help people set up the business or expand the businesses and to put them in contact with people. The demand is certainly out there, as you know, from customers needing space. So I think coming to someone like yourselves or and looking at your resources throughout the country, you'll find that your needs can be satisfied, if you like, in terms of the storage capacity that you need.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean the one thing that we've found is that the suppliers to the industry really do work well together. They cross refer. They're always happy to give free advice early on, to especially for people who are just considering getting started in a self-storage business as well. So yeah, it's a very supportive industry, we've certainly found, and that's all like everything we're about is about making life easier for people, and literally we carry that ethos from, you know, people that like storage operators, customers, suppliers, the team, you know, people we just interact with daily. I think it's just really important in this day and age to just be human first and foremost, isn't it? Just
absolutely.
Glad we're all trying to sort of do our best and get on. So
yeah. I'm a great believer in face-to-face conversation as well. As you can probably tell from my age, I'm slightly old school from that point of view. So I'm going down to Exeter next week from Liverpool to see a client down there and do some survey work. So we're happy to go all over the place.
Brilliant. Yeah. In fairness, you can't beat it, can you? You know, it really does make a difference. So presumably then that advice would sort of apply really to any kind of scale of storage operator that is already a going concern. And we'll put a link to the website that you just mentioned, the Valuation Office website there, where you can check your rating. We'll put a link when we upload this video online as well. So somebody who was, let's say, at very first stages, putting pen to paper, they have identified a potential site, they're doing a feasibility study, and they need to obviously factor this into their costs. Yes. What advice would you give to them?
Ring me. I think you'd be looking effectively, if you wanted to do I'm happy to talk to people, you know, to give advice, you know, preliminary advice, or if you like more formal advice. But the thing is, you've got to, in terms of self-storage container sites, there are two aspects to it in the main. Firstly, the site area itself, which will be valued at X pounds per square metre, depending on where it is in the country and the nature of the land, if it's surfaced, unsurfaced, etc. The value of the containers themselves, which I've explained earlier, and then also there's some plant and machinery attributed to the assessment on occasions, not always, but that is generally the CCTV security side of things that's on site. But I would say, don't, for the sake of picking up the phone to me or emailing me or LinkedIn messaging me, just have a 5 or 10 minute conversation, and I can take whoever through what their considerations should be.
Ideal. Well, I mean, it really is that thing that we always come back to when we speak to people. It's just knowledge is power, and there's really no harm in picking up the phone to somebody and just having an initial conversation. No one's really going to charge you for that, you know that first chat, and if they do, you know, they're being
don't deal with them again. Absolutely.
No, exactly. So just pick up the phone, speak to people are more than happy to help, and
absolutely.
Having that early knowledge can be really powerful. So on that, how would somebody contact you?
My email address is andrew.davies, Davies, at fishergerman.co.uk. And I'm on LinkedIn under Fisher German, and it's Andy Davies on LinkedIn. Please feel free to get in contact, and I will get back to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Andy. Well, we'll tag you on the posts as well, so people can see your details there. And thank you very much for your time today. It's been really interesting learning a bit more about it, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Annie, thanks for inviting me on, Anna.
No problem. Thanks very much. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.